In the vibrant world of British television satire, few moments capture the essence of unfiltered comedy quite like the recent episode of Have I Got News for You? Hosted by the sharp-witted Canadian comedian Katherine Ryan, the long-standing BBC panel dove headfirst into controversial territory, leaving audiences both amused and appalled. At the center of the storm was Ryan's repeated invocation of a particularly potent expletive, the infamous C-word, while dissecting Sir David Beckham's leaked emails from over a decade ago. Those emails, in which the soccer icon vented his frustration over being overlooked for a knighthood, famously described the Honours Committee in the most colorful terms imaginable. Ryan, ever the provocateur, didn't shy away from quoting Beckham verbatim, turning what could have been a dry historical footnote into a lightning rod for discussion on the limits of broadcast humor. The episode unfolded with the kind of energy that has made Have I Got News for You a staple of late-night viewing since its inception in the early 1990s. Ryan, stepping into the host chair with her signature blend of deadpan delivery and razor-sharp observations, set the tone early. As the panel delved into Beckham's 2013 correspondence, where he lambasted the committee as a bunch of CS for snubbing his contributions to sports and charity, Ryan leaned into the vulgarity with gleeful abandon. It wasn't just a passing reference. The word echoed through the segment like a rebellious chant, amplified by panelist Maisie Adams' quick-witted follow-up. Adam, channeling a poetic sense of irony, quipped that it might have been nice and maybe poetic if Charles had got his own back knighting him and going, "Arise you see." The studio erupted in laughter, but beneath the applause lay the seeds of discontent that would soon bloom across social media. Ryan, undeterred by the potential backlash, escalated the humor with a self-referential jab that tied the expletive directly to Beckham's personal life. "I don't know if we are allowed to broadcast the C-word," she mused, pausing for effect. "But you did reference Victoria Beckham earlier, and we'll allow that." The line landed like a precision strike, playing on the double entendre that equated the swear word with a cheeky nod to Lady Beckham herself. A ripple of shock passed through a portion of the studio audience, gasps mingled with chuckles, as Ryan quickly backpedaled with mock sincerity. "I like her really. I didn't expect that reaction." It was classic Ryan, bold, boundary-pushing, and laced with just enough vulnerability to humanize the moment. Yet, for some viewers tuning in from their living rooms, the humor crossed an invisible line, transforming a light-hearted panel discussion into what they perceived as an assault on decorum. The fallout was swift and multifaceted, igniting a firestorm on platforms like X, where users dissected every syllable of the broadcast. Complaints poured in, decrying the BBC's decision to air the segment unedited in a pre-recorded format. One particularly incensed viewer labeled it unacceptable broadcasting of the C-word, questioning how such language could slip past the network's vaunted standards department. "This is a recorded program," they argued, "so who at the BBC felt it was okay not to cut or bleep it out?" Really disappointing. The sentiment resonated widely, with calls for accountability echoing through the digital ether. Another detractor went further, demanding Ryan's immediate suspension. The same BBC that allows the C-word to be broadcast during #Hindfi, once in connection with Victoria Beckham. Katherine Ryan should be suspended. The reference to Victoria added fuel to the fire, as critics argued that using the term as a slur against a public figure, however satirical, perpetuated harmful stereotypes and eroded the show's intellectual credibility. Not all reactions were uniformly negative. Some praised Ryan's audacity as a breath of fresh air in an era of sanitized comedy. "Something very odd and jarring about hearing the C-word on Have I Got News for You?" one user admitted, capturing the discomfort that paradoxically made the moment memorable. Others, however, saw deeper systemic issues at play. Why, they wondered, was such profanity greenlit for a flagship satire show while a BBC News Channel presenter like Martine Croxall faced reprimands for something as subtle as a facial expression during a report on pregnant people? The disparity highlighted what many viewed as inconsistent enforcement of BBC guidelines, lenient toward edgy entertainment, punitive toward straightforward journalism. Heads should roll for allowing the C-word to be broadcast at least twice during #Hindfi, fumed another commenter, underscoring the repeated nature of the offense and the network's apparent oversight. Amid the uproar, Ryan emerged as the unflappable eye of the storm. Just days later, she took to Instagram with her trademark irreverence, reposting a headline about the controversy and captioning it with a wink. "And that was just my intro. Catch up on this week's at Havigatnas at PsyPlayer." It was a masterclass in deflection, transforming potential career sabotage into promotional gold. Ryan's ability to laugh off the backlash speaks volumes about her resilience, honed over years in the cutthroat world of stand-up and television. Born in Sarnia, Ontario, she moved to London in her early 20s, quickly establishing herself as a voice for millennial disillusionment with specials like Glitter Room and Mrs. Her unapologetic feminism and willingness to skewer sacred cows have earned her a loyal following, but also frequent clashes with conservative sensibilities. This incident, however, arrives at a particularly poignant time for Ryan personally. Mere weeks before hosting the show, she had welcomed her fourth child into the world, a fact she casually dropped during the episode while chatting with regular panelist Ian Hislop. The revelation, that she had given birth just 2.5 weeks prior, added layers of admiration to her performance. Hosting a high-stakes live-ish recording while navigating the sleep-deprived haze of new motherhood? It was the kind of multitasking that would break lesser comics. Ryan's candor about her postpartum journey extends beyond the studio. In a recent podcast appearance on Davina McCall's Begin Again, she opened up about the privileged label slapped on her for sharing parenting hacks. Specifically, she advocated starting potty training from almost birth, a tip drawn from her experience getting her son fed out of nappies by 8 months. The backlash to her advice was as fierce as that over her language. People go, "What do you mean?" And they get mad right away, Ryan recounted, empathizing with the defensiveness it triggered. Mothers with older toddlers in diapers often felt judged, interpreting her words as an indictment of their own efforts. They feel like, well, because I've got a 3-year-old in a nappy, you're saying that's my fault and I'm negligent and I don't love my child. Ryan clarified that it stemmed from a miscommunication, that what many saw as inevitable nappy dependency was, in her view, an unintended training process. If you take the nappy off at regular intervals and you hold them on a potty, you're training them to go in the potty, she explained, emphasizing that well-meaning parents unwittingly reinforced the opposite habit.